Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Very, very special guest today. Four-time Mr. Olympia, Jay Cutler is joining me. Thank you, Jay. We're going to talk about this year's Olympia, focusing mainly on Open, touching on 212 and Classic. And of course, no predictions because we don't know what's going to happen, but we do want to talk about some of these guys. Jay, first of all, an incumbent champion used to have an advantage in years past. That does not seem to be the case anymore. We've seen the title change hands 7 times in the last 8 years. So, yeah, I guess the judging, they don't seem to care whether you're the reigning champ or not anymore.
It's funny. I was just going to say 6, Ron. So you are you're better at this, at the history, I guess, a little bit. So I try to think back because, I was the 11th and, Phil became the 12th and kind of lost count from there because it seemed to switch right after that. Yeah. He was there for 7 years. But, yeah, I mean, there's so much talent out there. And what's unique about the landscape of bodybuilding now is in the Open division, I mean, in Classic, there's just the bodies are just so the fine details is so it's very small to who could be the champion, I guess. So, we throw out names, left and right between, we have 4 Mr. Olympias competing. Is it? So we have Hottie, Derek, Sampson, and Brandon Curry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give the respect to that. I mean, the title of being the best in the world, and you have like 3 of those guys that are literally 1, 2, 3. And we can't discredit Brandon either because he was 4th. I mean, not too long ago. I know last year wasn't his best showing, but he still has the ability because he has that muscle density. But you also have a lot of newcomers, including who today got announced, Beruz, right? Which is, it's going to change everything, right? It's going to change everything to what it is. So, I mean, man, sorry. I don't know how to shut this off.
It's okay. People like to call Jay Cutler. I understand.
I don't know why the phone's actually this thing's ringing,
Yeah, no worries. So obviously right here, Samson Dowd is the reigning champion. He's still the favorite in my book. He still has, to me, the best overall physique, that package of structure, mass, shape, condition, pretty damn good. I think we're going to see the best condition we've ever seen from this year based on the fact that he lost to Derek Lunsford at the Arnold way back 6 months ago, basically a little over 6 months ago, basically just because Derek outconditioned him. I don't know if you talked to Samson, but it seems to me like he's on track to be leaner than ever before.
When we talk about physiques on Olympia stage and the best balance and proportions, I mean, I think we both agree he probably has the best physique in the current crop of professional bodybuilding right now with the structure and the size proportions. He doesn't have that striking conditioning, which, it's like he wins the Olympia last year, but there's but he could have been, he needs to be better to continue to retain that. And I think, I fell into that a little bit where I don't know if I was ever 100% on the stage. There were certain times in my career I felt I was better than other times, and some of my victories were more dominant. But he has the ability to come in, and win this show pretty handedly because of his structure. But the problem is he going to sacrifice too much size and too much wow factor, especially when you have a Nick Walker who is tremendous right now. And it looks like Hottie's coming in a little bigger and rounder. And you just don't want to sacrifice that roundness, what gives you that pop, for that crazy conditioning. So, it's one of those, it's kind of like it's a catch-22 on what you need to bring in order to, to be the best on that lineup. And I think that's really that's the question mark is he going to still have that wow factor if he brings the conditioning down a little further?
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of fans were saying. When he did this guest posing, I think was 8 weeks out. And that's typically how he would look, say 4 or 5 weeks out in the past, which led a lot of speculation. My theory was he was going to get into the best shape possible ever early and then fill out for the show. And he's not doing any full body physique updates on his Instagram or YouTube. So it's still speculation, but it looks to me like he is getting a little fuller as these last couple weeks go by. But, we don't know what him and Marlena's game plan is.
Yeah. And you know what? It doesn't matter until they hit that stage on Friday night.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So yeah, you mentioned Nick, and we've talked about Derek. So this earlier in the year was the inaugural Pittsburgh Pro. It came down to a 1-point decision in a sudden death match type of pose down that Big Steve had them do. A lot of people had Nick Walker winning, and this was a guy that had missed 2 Olympias in a row. A lot of people were calling him Nick Talker and just saying he's done. He's never going to amount to anything. And I think losing this show in such a controversial way in the eyes of the many of the fans, I think this raised his stock, and he got a lot of new support and followers out there.
For sure. I mean, we've seen the updates. He's not afraid to show that online. But listen, Derek leading to the show is probably in the best position to win it, in my opinion, because he's already won. He won the Arnold. He won the Pittsburgh. He still has the Mr. Olympia title in his back pocket. I mean, he did lose it to Samson, but and he was third, right? He lost to Hadi also, right? But Nick hasn't, he hasn't seen the stage for 2 years. He's working with, Kyle Wilkes, great coach. He definitely streamlined his physique to really put to rest his shape. And, if he can really hold his midsection and show improvement there, and with the size he has, the only thing that both these guys have to be careful of is their height to weight ratio is limited. So meaning they have to be careful how much size they put on. And this is where Samson can dominate and Andrew Jack can dominate, because they have a lot of frame to fill out, where these guys, they have to be careful how big they get, because then the shape gets a little off. But Derek right now still has better shape than Nick Walker, but we've seen Derek's legs disappear as he gets in tremendous condition. That's one thing he has to be careful of. So I imagine, working with Chris Aceto, who's one of the best in the business, I'm sure his game plan is to keep him big and full until the last 4 weeks, which is, we're coming down to the wire now. So people online are saying Derek's condition doesn't look, I know what Chris's game plan is. And, we may be very surprised how Derek Lunsford looks when he hits that stage, because if he has the big legs with that crazy back and the proportions he has, he's a big problem for this lineup. Huge problem.
Agreed. I mean, he's beaten all these guys before.
He has, and he has lately. So, the talk, and I know, listen, I sit back as a spectator about Pittsburgh, and I've listened to Nick's sides, and I've listened, but that literally came down to like a hair decision. Even though Nick thinks I clearly won it, it's still bodybuilding, and people have their opinions. I talked to people that were there, and they had Derek winning. Some had Nick. So it went in Derek's favor, and it wasn't Derek's best. So if Derek comes in, you got to think about that. It was not his best. He was definitely downsized in the leg area. He wasn't like he was at the Arnold. So take that into account. He can rebound back. He can show up at the Olympia, and he can dominate once again. And all these guys are looking to do what I did in 2009, and to lose the title and come back and win it. So that's where he's dangerous. He's still shapely. He's got the best back double bicep lats in the business, crazy, cords in the hamstrings. He's got that Phil Heath type look from behind, which as well as I do, watching bodybuilding for as many years as we have, sometimes that's enough.
Yeah. So looking at Nick here, I mean, the comparison, I know your physiques aren't that similar really when you look at to people that really have an eye for the physiques, but people say if Jay Cutler could win the Olympia 4 times, he didn't have the greatest shape. Nick Walker doesn't have the greatest shape, but it's just ungodly amounts of mass. And he does get in really good condition too. And he gave you some props when they asked him, who's the one bodybuilder you wish you could be compared to from the past? He he said Jay Cutler without even hesitating. Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah.
Go ahead. But he does have a little wider waist than you ever had. I just don't know how much of a factor that's going to be if the rest of him is freaky enough.
I don't know if he was wider, if his shoulders aren't as wide as mine were. You know, I had that crazy shoulder width, you know, the broad shoulders, but we are comparable in that sense where, you know, no one ever looks at that and says that's a pretty physique. I mean, maybe at some point in my career when I was lighter, I always talked about how I got bigger than I would have liked to. And I told, you know, I spoke to Nick recently and I just said, Nick, you can win this thing. You know, his confidence is an all-time high because he knows leading in, conditioning is not really a factor. His back shots, you know, have improved tremendously. A back double is one of the best in the show. He's got the legs now from behind. You know, he always is against the quads from the front. That's where the judges are going to be looking the most to show, okay, how has he improved to offset the midsection, and really, like, he can really control that core. So I know breathing has a lot to do with it, but his front double bicep, his side poses are tremendous. And like I said, the conditions there definitely needs a little more separation, especially in the quads. But if he puts it all together, I mean, he could be knocking right at the door with a, you know, second place or even winning this thing pretty handedly. And I think a lot of the guys realize that, and he's definitely going to be a crowd favorite. And no matter what, I mean, you know, he's always proved everyone wrong. And that's the whole point of his career. I think I did kind of the same thing. So I think that's where the comparisons come into play a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, nobody in your early years as a pro, I don't think anyone said this guy's a future Mr. Olympia. But sure enough, you know, you just kept getting better and better. And just like Nick came on the scene a few years ago. He wasn't like this. He's coming into his own as a pro I guess he missed because he missed those shows. He's got a lot to prove, a lot to make up for. So, yeah, interesting to see how he does. Hadi Choopan got his visa, and great news. He's another guy. He's an Olympia champ, and he's beaten all these guys before. Yeah, literally, except for a couple guys who are in their first Olympia. But Hadi Choopan, I see him as low as fourth or fifth in some people's predictions. Some people have him higher than that, but we're not asking you where he's going to place. But you know, you feel he's still deadly enough to potentially get that title back?
He's deadly enough. The question is, you know, what he's going to look like standing next to these other guys. You know, if he added size in certain areas, you know, when he lost the title, it came down to, you know, being tight enough in the back poses. You know, he does have round body parts. His presentation is always solid. His confidence is great. He's got here early enough. I mean, you remember a couple of times he didn't get here early enough to make that impact. He was still retaining a little water, but his, you know, that razor conditioning,
yeah,
that's where in the midsection, I mean, he's got the crazy ab wall, and, you know, that's where he can, you know, everyone goes to that midsection, which a lot of guys don't have. But his back definitely needs to be better to really get the judges' eyes than it ever has been. So that's where the question is going to be, you know, the conditioning from the backside versus the front. You know, it's the same thing that I ran into the years I competed. You know, I was always tight, super tight from the front, but lacked some things from the back. And as long as that matches, you know, he's right there knocking at the door also.
Do you think it's to his advantage that he hasn't competed since the last year's Olympia, where the other guys, we're talking about Nick, Derek, and Simpson, they all did spring shows this year. You know, some guys seem to be able to do multiple shows a year and it doesn't impact them at all. Other guys, it definitely does. We saw over the years guys who always look great in the spring shows, and, you know, like Flex Wheeler, the Olympia wasn't quite as good as the spring shows. Do you think it is an advantage for Hadi that he's fresh?
Not necessarily. He was second last year, right? I mean, he competed in all the early shows. I mean, he did UK, he won Arnold's. I mean, he kind of did what Derek did in a sense, you know, and still ended up in second place. And, you know, there were people that thought he could have won last year. So, I mean, I think, you know, with him, because of his height to weight ratio, I don't think, like, taking time off, you know, it's not like he's going to come back a ton bigger. He's already got the formula. He's won it before. His conditioning is the formula with the balance. And as long as his body, you know, I don't know, like, how long he's been bodybuilding, or, you know, remember, he came from the 212. So you know, as long as he doesn't push his body past the limit and keep, you know, his small waist in that front double, it's kind of key. It's the first pose. And, you know, as long as his legs are round, I mean, maybe the time off did do him well, but, you know, he's a big superstar where he comes from. I mean, I don't know if anyone is more recognized in their region than he is. I mean, you see the crowds that come to him when he lands back, no matter how he does, even second place last year. He's a superstar. So, I mean, he has a lot to prove. These guys are workhorses over there. Bodybuilding appreciates those guys, so he has a whole country behind him, and I'm sure he's there to prove a point.
Yeah, I mean, when you won the Olympia, I never saw like 100,000 people at the airport waiting for you, and you don't have he has a statue in his hometown.
It's amazing. I'm so proud of that guy, and you know that's what bodybuilding's. You know, that's why I said if the bodybuilding ever traveled again, if the Mr. Olympia ever started traveling. Yeah. Like, can you imagine Ron, you've traveled to these international places. Like, bodybuilding is so respected. I mean, look at Germany, and I mean, Samson's from the UK. I mean, but I mean, not that we'd probably have an Olympia in Iran, but gosh, the bodybuilding arena in Iran is like some of the best bodybuilding fans and athletes on the planet, if not the best. So I hear there's a bunch of hotties out there that have tremendous physiques and just don't get the chance to compete in the visibility of what we see. So my hat goes off to, I have a lot of Iranian people that support me, and I get messages every day. I'm tagged in a lot of hottie posts and whatnot. And, you know, it's just, my respect goes out to that guy no matter what. I mean, he's fighting for this title for sure. Absolutely.
So Martin needs to be talked about because he was fourth place last year, and a lot of people thought he could have beaten Derek Lunsford last year. He was that good. We've seen updates. He looks about the same. He's another one who competed earlier in the season. Don't know if that's going to have any impact at all on him, but he still does have this tremendous package, that round bubbly muscle that you don't see that often. Tremendous legs, just a great shape and structure. His updates, he's not giving away too much, of course. Most of the guys aren't, but I think we still have to talk about him as a top 5 guy, potentially.
I spoke to him last week. I think I said he was the dark horse last year. You know, we put him on the podcast like a week out. He's the guy. You know, this guy, I know people aren't talking about him. He was 4th last year. I watched him from the front row, and like honestly, he could have won, Ron, in my opinion. Wow. I mean, I think he's that good. Remember that he's a kid. Yeah. I mean, he's like 27 or 28 years old, and he's got that, you know what the muscle looks like at that age. So he's not even close to what his potential is right now. And he's got the confidence, he's got the stage presence now. And I think disrespectfully, people are counting him out of the conversation of the top 5, 6. But I think he's going to be another surprise this year. And don't be surprised if he moves up from position last year and beats some of the guys we've already talked about here.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy that people don't have him in their top 5. Like, I don't see him in very many people. I see him down like 6 and 7 in a lot of people's predictions, but he could certainly be higher than that. We just mentioned Andrew, and that's another guy that, you know, when he came on the scene, a lot of us were saying this guy could be Mr. Olympia. And he's been top 5 a couple times now. I want to see him put it together with the condition from the back, a little more hamstrings, but 6'2", 285, 290 pounds with crazy full round muscle bellies and little joints. He's another guy who doesn't give away much with the updates either, but you probably have seen pictures of him, I'm guessing.
Listen, he's the guy. I mean, when we talk about Samson, we talk about structure, proportions, we talk about the detail. This guy has the tie-ins. He has everything that you can imagine working for him. But you mentioned that conditioning from the back. I know there's been some criticism as legs big enough from the front, which is crazy to me because his proportions are wild. But because of his height, and you put these other guys next to him that are, you know, 5'6" to 5'8" to 5'10" to 6 feet, that's where, like, he looks amazing on his own. But when you start breaking it down and comparing him, you know, he just had to fill in a couple of those holes. And I think he's still coming into his own. I feel like he's still really fresh with bodybuilding. But yes, if he nails better conditioning, can display it better, meaning confidence, aggressiveness without being arrogant. That's the one thing that I could give Andrew as, like, you have to be a little more aggressive and want it a little more, because he has the tools to change the game. And that's where we're excited to watch him, because he's just, everything about him is just wow, right? Every pose, I mean, the arms, the bicep peaks, the back double, and the crazy legs. I mean, he's kind of like, I want to compare him a little bit, Ronnie Coleman-ish, a little bit. He's just got crazy detailed tie-ins, like, for the size he is. And I know he was what is he, 5th last year?
Yeah, I think he's been 5th twice now.
Yeah, so like, it's all going to come down to like what he brings and what the other guys look like. I mean, he's got these shorter guys beating him, but he's got to nail the condition a little harder. And I don't know if that work is done as of now anyway. I mean, everyone's coming to Vegas here in another, if not a few days, if they're not already here.
Yeah.
So big question mark with him. I mean, he would, if they stand him next to Samson, if they do a 2-man call out, that's what the crowd wants to see. They want to see like the 2 big dudes, just like they want to see Derek, Nick, and like Martin, all like, that's a 3-man call out, right? So, there's certain call outs that we all want to see, Ron. It's like we put together, some of the experts should, or I call us experts, some of the, what I don't know what we are, but media people. Let's get one of our call outs out there, instead of like, it's hard when you got 6 or 7. I mean, I don't know. At first call, it's like 7, I think, usually, or 6, whatever that it allows. Steve's really good at that, right? But man, remember when it's me and Ronnie, like it was the top 2, and the place would go crazy, and they usually do 3 now, right? They do the top 3, and very rarely do they just do Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman in the middle, and that's it. So I kind of miss those days a little bit, to be honest.
I mean, since you and Ronnie, the only other ones that were that exciting were Phil and Kai.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. The 2-man call, and I mean, we probably had them before. I don't listen. I'm not a judge. I'm not good at this stuff. I mean, I sit up there and I can, like I just said, I said Martin, in my eyes, I wouldn't have been upset if he would have won the show, but not to discredit any other guys, but like, I don't have the eyes to really, as many shows as I've watched, it's hard to really pick out, because I favor some of the guys because I love the underdogs, and I love the guys that climb from, I want to see a guy go from 8th to battling 2nd and controversially should win, or Ronnie Coleman that went from 9th to 1st. I miss those days. Can that happen? That's the big question. You and I are sitting here talking about the contenders, but we're disrespectfully leaving out, like Urs first Olympia, German guy, you know what I mean? All that stuff. So
that's a good person to talk about, because, the Urs fans, they're obviously, the Germans are great fans. Germans, Iranians, and Brazilians, I think, are the top 3 fans in the industry. But Urs, moving up to open for the first time, I didn't think he was going to look anything like this. I didn't think he was going to be in any kind of condition at 260 when I heard that's what he was going to weigh. I thought maybe top 3 if he's lucky. He won 2 shows in a row. Of course, he wasn't staying next to any top 10 Olympia guys at those shows, but still, it's a great physique. My only concern as far as him being in the potentially top 6 is I don't think his back is quite ready yet for top 6, but give him another off season. But do you think he could potentially get there now? Is his back?
I wouldn't say so. He's going to be, he lacks the density to really be compared with the top guys. Listen, I'm very close to Urs. I think potentially he can be one of these top guys we're having a conversation about in a year or 2. But he's just, remember, he started prepping for Classic in this prep. So for him to make the change up and then go to open, and yes, he might weigh 260 or whatever, but remember, he's tall. So we talk about Andrew, looking like filling in those gaps next to those shorter, stockier guys, that's where it's going to cause havoc in where we're going to place him in that top lineup. You know, there's still, I mean, put him next to Rubio, for example, or I mean, if Rubio's in any kind of condition, I know Er's conditioning is phenomenal, but like you said, the back needs a little more work. He's going to get one of the loudest ovations of the whole weekend because he's just got it. He's got the it factor. Like we talk about, you know, Bumstead having it. Ers is like the next coming of what the future is, and he's tremendous in all aspects. And he's a social media crossover. He's very, very likable. You can sit and have a conversation with him. He communicates with a lot of the people. We're all rooting for him. Yeah. But I think in that top 6, it's, you know, especially with Betruz now announced, that just changed the whole game, Ron. You know, I mean, like this kid is so dangerous for that top 6. And listen, he might be on the outside of that top 6. I don't know if he's going to push the top 3 or 4. Right. You might disagree or agree with me, but you know, you got a guy that has crazy upper body. We know his legs have needed a little work, but you have guys that we talk about the legs between Andrew Jack, Nick Walker, Derek Lunsford that don't show up every time with huge legs. That's where, okay, it comes down to what these guys look like. I mean, Samson and Hottie, like, you know, they got to have pretty round, big legs. Yeah. But this guy's conditioning is A+. Can you imagine the guy gets a visa, you know, I don't know how many days out from the show, and here's another guy in a country that, you know, is probably the biggest bodybuilding sport in the planet, fan base. It's crazy. I mean, he is going to, you show him pictures that, you know, he's going to be improved from all these. So yeah, I'm happy for him, man. You know, we all pushed for him to get here. You know, I helped with a letter to get him here. Oh. So there's a lot coming from Betruz, and I hope this is the beginning of the era.
Yeah, well, I didn't know you helped out, but great job, because a
lot of people helped out, but like we all pushed for him to get here. And I'm so I just text Milos this morning and congratulated him because his heart and soul was in this thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So you just mentioned Nexzilla, Rubiel Mosquera from Colombia. I'm not a huge fan of this physique, I'll be honest, and I get a lot of flack for that, only because the waist from the front just it doesn't sit right with me, and the quad separation. But I have to admit, this guy is a freak. He's got so much muscle per square inch, just massive. Structurally, you can see the clavicles they're not like what yours were or what some of the top guys were, but I think he has enough freak factor to be a potential 6th or 7th place guy. Obviously, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I don't know if we're talking about him in the top. I don't think he's there yet, but you definitely can't count this guy out. I mean, there's just so many people, Ron. I mean, yeah. He's a complete freak. I just mentioned him, you know, next to Urs, because I mean, you're talking about the guy with the biggest legs in the show, and that's Rubiel, right? Yeah. But you know, you have Jordan also, who I feel like he's going to compare well with, like, even Regan Grimes and these people. I just don't know. You listen, we're talking about there's only 10 spots, like for top 10, but like this guy won two shows. He's his first Olympia, right? Yeah. He has conditioning, you know, he's shapely like Regan is. And I'm excited to see his debut, what he's going to look like. You know, we all know my first time at Olympia was 15 out of 16, you know? Yeah. Ronnie Coleman was last, you know? Yeah. I think Brandon Curry was last, you know? So, I mean, I'm leaving out so many people, and I just, the lineup is just so deep. Like I talked about, like we can just go name after name after name of like, wow, but I like this guy. I like what he looks like. I like what he represents. And I think for future, I think he can be very dangerous and improve the back a little bit, but the conditioning's there. And you know, size and conditioning at the Olympia, they like big dudes, you know?
Absolutely. You mentioned Regan. So Regan's a guy, I remember you had him on your Cutler Cast podcast, and you really stressed to him the mindset of becoming Mr. Olympia, that you really have to have that strong belief that you will be Mr. Olympia. And I could see him really absorbing it and taking it all in as you were saying it. I did see a change in his demeanor on stage and everything this year. He does seem more confident. Physique, I still think has a couple of areas that need to come up to ever get to that level of being Mr. Olympia, but he's been top 10 before. I think he's another one. I have like 15 guys in my top 10 right now. He's one of them.
I can tell you that Regan's at his best. He's at his best this far out from the contest. I know that doesn't matter, so don't come at me with everyone looks great by themselves X days out.
Yeah.
He had a child. It's changed his whole outlook on everything. He's working his ass off. He's taking it very serious. He is doing exactly what I told him I would lock him in a house to make sure he didn't fall off track. And he's doing exactly that on his own.
Yeah.
So he's matured. He's figured it out. He's worked through a couple small minor injuries he had, and he's really putting it together right now. So I'm excited to see his debut. I mean, from the back, Ron,
oh yeah,
wow, he's his best, you know.
I mean, the back shots, he's got one of the freakiest backs in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, and he's got the hamstring, like the cords and all that stuff. It's pretty impressive. But like his legs need to be a little rounder from the front. You know, he's still got to put some more density in there. But he's a work in progress. I think next year you're going to see big things from Regan. I just think just like Urs and he's hopefully going to have a good showing here. And but dude, we still have William Bonnick. We have you have Sauce. You have all these guys like Bonnick. How can you leave Bonnick or Brandon Curry out of the conversation? Like these are guys, like for us not to include them in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be.
Yeah, so I mean we've seen Bonnick. If he's not the bodybuilder of the year, there's a few people we have in question with that. And I mean you've seen his performance, and for him to still be pushing the odds like this, so much respect goes out to him. I mean,
he's still winning shows.
still run. So that's why, we started this conversation, and I stress this, the competition is so close. It's like, you cannot predict this. If someone can predict the top 10, this has to be the hardest prediction of the top 10 ever. I don't see how anyone could do it, And then you have like Tonio Burton, you have him who's really good. We didn't see him compete a bunch of times this year. I think he won overseas, didn't he? Or
did he win? He won. I can't even remember.
And then like look at this physique. I mean, they compare him to like a Dexter Jackson, kind of like, I hate to be like Dexter's one of the greatest ever, but I mean, he's got that kind of shape. But then you have like someone like Brett Wilkin, bro, who like qualified the year prior. So no one's talking about his showing. And I know like he's still a work in progress coming up from Classic, but like he's a monster. I mean, you see his updates and you see him training with Martin. I mean, that's a lot of muscle right there.
Yeah. That's the one thing about guys qualifying early that I think is it's kind of a downside. It doesn't matter in the end on stage, but the fans, I kind of forget about the guys that qualify at the post-Olympia shows right after the Olympia, because it's been so damn long since we've seen them.
Yeah. Who did I leave out, Ron? Who else on this list that?
Okay.
You said you had 15 guys in your top 10. Who else?
I got one more that's in the top 10. Where is he? Good Vito.
There you go. This kid, I mean, Chris Aceto compares a lot of poses to what I do. He definitely needs, his legs are crazy, conditioning and, some more pec fullness, posing, but man, what a front double bicep, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's, again, a work in progress. He's another young guy. I think he's only 27. The back was kind of a lagging area. It seems to be getting better. And just the overall shape and structure. You got to have that to start with. That's got to be the foundation. He has that.
Listen, I don't know much about him because I haven't really seen him. You know, he was injured he was supposed to do Pittsburgh and he was injured with that lat injury. But I mean, look at this. How can you discredit this? I mean, it's funny because I talk to Chris pretty often, but our conversations tend to be about life and real estate and business. You know, it's not about, I don't ever ask him, how is so-and-so looking? Because just like anyone that's experienced in this business, you can look the best ever 2 weeks out. And you know, that fine tuning, those last couple of days, Ron, it's all about the icing on the cake, right?
Yeah. So I just want to touch real briefly on the two other divisions. I guess we'll start with Keon. Keon freaked everyone out a couple months ago when he did this guest posing because we saw new size, new roundness and fullness, because he turned pro. I think he was still natural when he was a natural pro at like 22 or 20. He's still only, I think he's not even 30 yet. I want to say he's like 28 now. People say this is the greatest physique in the world in terms of structure, in terms of shape, all the things that you have to have in place. You can't improve on your shape or your structure. That's God-given. And he's just done the work. And with this new coach, Patrick Tour, not new now, but seems like he's taking everything to the next level. And he's already said he's going to do the Prague as an open bodybuilder after the Olympia. You know, a lot of people think if he wants to stay a 212 guy, he can hold on to that title for many years, the way Flex Lewis did.
Yeah, we had him on the podcast. He expressed that he wants to set the standard in the 212, and he's not thinking about open. Now, he announced Prague recently, which that wasn't even a discussion when we were speaking to him. He never talked about doing an open show. I don't think he plans on moving out. I know people are talking about, if you know, Sean Ray said this is the next Mr. Olympia when he decides, but he's not there yet. He's not mentally positioned to say, I'm going and I'm leaving the division. Now, could that change after this year's contest? Maybe. Could he be in the top 5 of this year's Mr. Olympia? Absolutely. Would he beat some of these guys that we just had a discussion about that I said how dangerous they are? Absolutely. If anyone's locked into eat, sleep, train, become the best in the world, this kid's got the formula figured out because he is a machine. He just works and works and works and eats and trains and repeats. That's all he's doing at this point. He's popping in. He's training at the best gyms in Vegas. I've seen him migrate from one to the next. And there is no fear of him stepping on that stage and being called the number one winner. He's put it in his mind. He's got the mindset. He's got the drive. He's got the vision. And, he's coming to win.
So the only one I think that stands a really legitimate chance of beating him, it would have to be, I honestly, I hate to say it, but Keon would have to probably be a little bit off for Sean to get him again. But, Sean was the champion. He's hoping to do in the 212 what you did in the Open, losing the title and getting it back. We know how hard he works, how hard he trains. Again, he doesn't do updates. He stays in these fully sweatsuit all the way up until the last minute. But I know this guy works his butt off. He's got a kid. He's motivated as hell. And I don't know. I wish him the best. I like Sean a lot.
No question. The only obstacle he's fighting is father time because he's not Keon Pearson's age. We all know how difficult that can become, especially when you're battling a kid that's, that young and, he's just pouring on size and proportions and everything else, where Sean overwhelmed everyone with the proportions, but now you have a guy has crazier proportions, and that's like you said, Keon would have to slip up in order for him probably to overcome that at this point. And that's no disrespect to Sean. It's just what he's up against,
Yeah, he's damn good. All right, so I won't go too deep into the 212. It's a great division.
Yeah, there's a kid from Turkey though that's coming that's supposed to be a tremendous also. He's 24 or 25. He's really, really good, that kid.
Let's take a look. That's Nihat
Yeah.
Nihat Kaya.
And I mean, that kid, we've seen pictures of him. I guess he won Dubai, but
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see his debut here, especially with his age and
Look at that.
what he's bringing. I mean, he's solid, this guy.
I mean, this is 22 years old, and he's already significantly bigger and better than he was the year before, as you would imagine, someone at that age. So I think Keon, like you said, Keon's probably going to have a lock on that 212 title for a while, but this is probably just like when you were taking second to Ronnie all those years, we were like, this Jay's obviously going to be the next Mr. Olympia. Yeah. I think this kid's next in line for the 212, personally.
Yeah.
All right, let's go real quickly to the Classic division. Yeah, Classic. So Mike Sommerfeld, he was second to Bumstead, and we know Bumstead is moving on and doing other things with his life now. So we're going to have a new champion in the Classic division, and Mike seems to be the most logical successor. There's obviously some guys who are going to threaten him, but I don't know, Mike. Was he on your podcast too?
Yeah, he was, and his confidence is sky high. He looks unbelievable right now. I think you saw Milos even posted that he got to watch him pose in the gym, and we kind of stay in touch some. But when you talk about people talk about how does he make weight and his crazy back, like the lower lats tie and the legs are crazy. I mean, he's got a lot of wow poses to him. And yes, he won the Arnold. He was second to Chris last year, which was the strongest run really anyone's given Chris from what I'm told, or opinions. I sit back and I kind of listen to what I have opinion, but then I listen to what everyone else thinks too. And I kind of just look in the middle, but I still think Bumstead had, he just has the crazy proportions, but this kid's, he's got it. He's got the goods. Young guy. He's got the formula figured out with Neil Hill, good coach behind his corner, and definitely in the driver's seat for this contest, but not a slam dunk. I mean, you got no slouches. There's a lot of good guys in this division.
Well, I mean, someone a lot of people talking about is Ramon Dino. Ramon has been knocking on the door of this title for a while now. He's the Arnold Classic champ. He has all the tools. This is another guy Chris has been working with, I think, from the beginning of his pro career. Yes. This is another guy that could do it. Mike's as great as Mike is. Ramon's no slouch either. I just, I have to be uber critical of these guys. That's my job. But I'd like to see a little more back thickness. But in terms of structure, flow, just the aesthetics, the arms, the shoulders, it's a tremendous package this kid brings.
This is his opportunity. I mean, when you have a champion retire, that's almost the unbeatable. This is where everyone needs to step up and be at their all-time best. So I know if I was him, taking the whole year for preparation, and I think he qualified last year, right? Yeah. He just, because he fell last year, right? He was not.
I think he was fourth last year.
Yeah, so he needs to be at his all-time best, and if he can do that, he sets himself up for the consideration. And that all comes down to mindset, which I know Mike has, I know Keon has, I know Derek and Samson and Hottie and Nick Walker, and like we talk about mindsets and divisions. And if you notice, I talked about that a lot on this conversation, is like the mind almost is more important than the physique. Going to the gym every day and training. Everyone thinks it's about going to the gym and killing it every day, but you have to have that visualization. But he's also, Terrence Ruffin is a monster in this division. He's improved. He's got proportions. When you mention Classic, Ruffin is the landscape of Classic. Posing, he's been right there. He's second to Chris a couple times, one time, I don't know.
Twice, 2 years in a row. Yeah.
So is he the heir apparent? Is he the one?
I mean, So I think if you talk about when people make the argument like what is classic, because there's no definitive answer. It's kind of open to interpretation. He's not a massive guy. He did take the year off and put some more size on, but if you put him next to Summerfield's a much more, I don't know, bodybuilder-esque. He's got a lot more thickness to him. But this is just a beautiful physique that Terrence has. And as good a poser as Summerfield is, Ruffin is just like on another level from just about everybody. He's fantastic. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many other. There's a couple foreign guys, and I mean, you got Logan Franklin. I mean, you got all these guys. I hate just talking about the few that that are popular, because there are some hidden guys in this that are going to scare the top five.
Yeah, I mean, I expect Logan, of course, top five is, nothing's set in stone, but I'd be very, very shocked if he's any lower than third or fourth. He's never been there. He's never been there before, but he pushed Summerfield really hard at the Arnold.
He did, but he's never really got that formula at the Olympia figured out. So we've seen the transition of him and what he's bringing. A lot of excitement. So I'm happy. I would be happy to see him definitely move up and show a better placing. But like I said, there's a lot of other guys that the Classic is like 7-8 deep that can win this thing,
Yeah, I just want to mention this guy because the condition, he's 23 years old now. He was only 22 last year when he took sixth in his first Olympia. Jose Manuel Munoz from Spain.
Insane.
Look at that.
Absolutely insane. He's like, who was the Turkish guy from our era, that Hamdullah whatever?
Hamdullah Kutlu, yeah.
Wow, bro. Remember that?
Glutzilla, Lonnie called him. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be again, we're only talking about a certain amount of guys, and every year there's people on the list that I wasn't even worried about or thinking about, and they end up being superstars after the show.
Yeah, and listen, Ron, I know we didn't discuss this, but men's physique also, man, we have there are some killers in that. I mean, you got Brandon Hendrickson, you got Ali, Ryan Terry's out to prove his point. Aaron Banks, you see Buendia just won his kind of comeback thing. I mean, that's an exciting division this year.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing that. I know men's physique doesn't get sometimes the credibility, but if it wasn't for men's physique is the most popular division around the planet. I mean, you travel to some of these foreign places, especially internationally, it's all men's physique. So as much as these guys, lack the credibility when you get down to the Mr. Olympia, if it wasn't for that division, I have to give a lot of credit to those guys that are constantly traveling and competing internationally. I mean, you saw Brandon Hendrickson just go over to, I think he went to China and competed, or, just a couple weeks ago. So, and Ali's been, he's been staying over in Bali. Ali's here now. We get to have a conversation with him, and he's convinced he's going to win it.
Yeah.
I know Ryan Terry's on his way over here now to Vegas, and he looks his best of all time. And he's remember, he was battling at the back end of the field a little bit for a few years, and now he's going for title number 3.
Wow.
So I'm excited to see every division. I mean, it's going to be a great contest for sure.
So where can the fans find you Olympia weekend?
I'll be floating. So,
yeah.
If you see me, say hello. Make sure you don't be shy. I'm always around, Ron. I mean,
do you have are you making appearances at any specific booth?
I'm not. I don't have anything scheduled necessarily at the expo. So,
okay.
I'll be floating. Whether I run into people at the gym or out and about, that's usually where I see the most. I mean, I'll be collabing with some of these guys as they come in, and we have some good podcasts lined up with some interviews and trying to get some new faces on there. We've had the great opportunity to interview a lot of great people, and we just even had Dana White on, a few weeks ago, which was a little outside our realm, but it still had to do with fitness because he follows the Mr. Olympia. He's a fan. He used to go,
Yeah.
But as we build up every year, and we kind of finish, this is like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, the Olympia. I don't know if it's ever been as open as it's been the last couple of years with our possible. I mean, even like now with Chris walking away, you know, you have the Classic, which is kind of open for, you know, a new champion to come in, and to have, you know, 4 Mr. Olympias battling and still considered, you know, some of your top 10 guys, you know, that's pretty tremendous. I don't know if we'll have that, you know. Is it going to keep changing hands? That's a big question mark. You witnessed it, the same guy winning. It's kind of exciting though, isn't it, Ron, to see a new champion every couple of years? Didn't it get a little stagnant when the same guy won all the time? Even if you're a fan of that guy, it's
Giles has said no matter how great a champion is, how much the fans love him, after about 3 wins, people are like, they're ready for something else. Like Lee Haney, after a while, as much everyone loved Lee, but after a while, everyone's like, how about somebody new? When Ronnie was winning, how about somebody new after a while? You know, you didn't hold on the title long enough for people to start saying, damn it, we're sick of Jay. But, you know, we saw that with Phil. It's just the nature of the beast is people, you know, you love underdogs. I love underdogs. Somebody's a champ. It's like, okay, great. They just keep winning and winning and winning. I want to see the guy who's just, like you said, someone coming from, I think, what did you go from 8th to 2nd that year? And Ronnie went from 9th to 1st. I mean, that's exciting. That's exciting. So if Nick Walker, who hasn't even been, he's only done 1 Olympia, and that was 3 years ago. If he could come back and win the Olympia, my God, that place would go ballistic.
I think he did 2. I think he got 3rd and 4th, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. So he did 21 and 22.
Yeah. But he did Orlando, I think. Yeah, man. I can't imagine, though. I'm trying to think who could leapfrog from like back at the top 10 right now to winning this thing. And that's the crazy part. And those years that I leapfrogged and Ronnie leapfrogged, I mean, we never were in consideration to be that guy. I mean, there was always someone that was like the heir apparent to who's going to win it, right? So, but I think Nick he's a biggest, I mean, if you look online, would you say that Nick is the most spoken about open 100%. Guy right now?
100%. He is. Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, every time I do a video, even if it's a live video, even if the video's got nothing to do with the Olympia or Nick Walker, people say Nick Walker, Mr. Olympia 2025 in the comments, like over and over again. They love this guy. You know, he's a bodybuilder's bodybuilder. He lives, eats, breathes, sleeps, and shits bodybuilding, this guy. He is bodybuilding. So I'd be happy for him. I'd be happy for anybody that wins. And, you know, this is why we don't do predictions, because there might be somebody who we're not even thinking about. They could be like somebody we're thinking is going to be like 10th or 11th or something. And who knows? Until that lineup comes out next Friday night, we'll have no inkling as to what they're going to look like.
Yeah, and I don't have, like, if people ask me like who do you want to win? Yeah. Like I wear the hat of, like, I want to see Martin get his chance. I want to see Nick Walker do the impossible. I want to see Samson repeat, because I know what it's like to win it once. You're like, damn, can I win it again? And then I want to see Hadi, who, you know, who's trying to get it. Like, I want to see him be able to win it back, just like Derek. Like, I want Derek to, like, he lost it last year, and what if he came back and won it this year? I mean, and repeat basically what I did, which is huge. And obviously have the titles, you know, the Pittsburgh and the Arnold Classic. Like, we've only seen a few guys win the Arnold and then come and win the Mr. Olympia. It's only been, I mean, Dexter did it, and I think Brandon Curry might have done it.
Ronnie did it.
Yeah, that was the year that I almost won. So very few. And Ronnie, you know, who's you know, the most mature and probably the most experienced of them all, is like, I'll never do that again. You know what I mean? So now it's like, you know, I heard Giles, what did he say on your podcast? You know, I didn't suggest Derek do that show, but Giles, it was $500,000.
Yeah, that's good. Good night. Nice payday for one day.
I mean, Ron, if you could compete in a show right now and get 500, it's life changing. I mean, I won 100 at that show, and, you know, Hummers and whatever else, but that is life changing money. And this year's Olympia, what's up for grabs? 600? Is it 600 or? We
don't know. Last year the check flipped around and we found out it was 600. I predict this year it's going to flip around and say 750. That's my prediction.
Arnold's going to 750. So, I mean, can you imagine that lineup for next year. But let's get through the Olympia first.
Yeah,
it's another weekend. It's a week away, like a little over a week, but I'll be seeing all these guys rolling into town, and we're excited to see it. You've been doing great reporting on, keeping up with this. I know, I'm glad that you didn't put me on the spot to ask me who I think is going to win. I wouldn't know anyway. I just,
there's no way. You know what? I always say predictions are it's just speculation. We're just having fun. Who knows? You never know.
It's funny because Samson's in the best position to win because he's Mr. Olympia, but Derek also has a great shot, and we don't know what Hadi really looks like other than the gym photos and Hani's gym. The question is Hani training? Is Hani training Hadi? Of
course he is. Of course he is. Yeah, I don't think there was never a doubt in my mind that he stopped coaching him. He just stopped publicly coaching people, but I don't think he ever stopped coaching Hadi Chupan. I don't think.
A lot of these top guys have a hell of a set of eyes on them, which is really important at this stage.
Yeah.
To really dial them in correctly. But it's always good that we can connect this time of year. Congratulations on all the success. You've been very persistent with everything, and it's good. Hopefully I'll see you soon,
Yeah, I'll probably see you at your show coming up in Boston, the New England Championships.
Did you win the New England? I always ask you this every year. How many times you win the New England?
0. I was second.
Oh, you didn't win the New England?
I was second in the heavyweight twice. I never won that show. I loved it though. I had a lot of fun, and good stuff. Well, Jay, thank you so much for taking the time. Always great talking to you, and appreciate the fact that you never forget your roots. You come back to Boston twice a year to promote shows. And, you're still this great ambassador. I consider you the greatest ambassador our sports had in this generation. Absolutely.
Still love it, Ron, like you do, man. I hope you're getting back into training. I know you had some surgeries, and
I never stopped. Yeah, new shoulder. Boop.
How's it feel?
Feels great. I haven't been able to put my arm up like this in over 10 years.
It's crazy. When I tore the bicep, they tied it through my shoulder. It was the upper. So I had I had to really go through therapy to get that extension, that was it was just it just was tight,
Right.
But you got to stay with that, hopefully we'll get you back on stage, man. Come on now.
Maybe over 60 like John Hansen. We'll see.
Yeah, dude, you looked incredible. So
all
right, that's good, man. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Hopefully we can do a follow-up at some point.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. This has been the Olympia preview with 4-time Mr. Olympia, Jay Cutler. See you next time.